Tonight, we're diving into the wild world of smart contracts. They sound boring, I know, but trust me, they're not. Imagine a world where robots enforce agreements. No more lawyers, no more judges, just lines of code deciding your fate. Sounds like a Black Mirror episode, right? Well, buckle up because the future is now. Smart contracts are basically self-executing contracts. They live on the internet on something called a blockchain. Think of it like a giant public ledger that everyone can see. Once a smart contract is set up, it runs automatically. No one can change it, not even your grandma. So how do these things actually work? Let's say you want to buy a digital kitten. Adorable, right? With a smart contract, you can set up an agreement where you send your money, probably too much money, let's be honest, to the seller, and the digital kitten is automatically transferred to you. Boom! Instant gratification, just like when I order takeout. This all happens on the blockchain, which is like the internet's filing cabinet. Every transaction is recorded and verified by a bunch of computers. It's like having a million accountants constantly checking the books. Good luck trying to pull a fast one on that system. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, hold your horses. Smart contracts have a dark side. Remember, these things are run by code. And code, my friends, is written by humans. And humans are, well, let's just say we're not known for our infallibility. What happens when there's a bug in the code? Or when someone writes a smart contract that's intentionally malicious? Suddenly that dream of a robot utopia starts to look a lot more like a Terminator movie. Don't believe me? Let's look at some real-world examples. Remember the DAO? It was this big experiment in decentralized investing. People poured millions of dollars into it. Then, someone found a loophole in the code and drained a third of the funds. Oopsie daisy. And that's not all. There have been cases of people losing their life savings because they sent their cryptocurrency to the wrong address. Guess what? Once it's gone, it's gone. Smart contracts are about as forgiving as a honey badger with a toothache. The DAO, short for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, was supposed to be a revolution. Imagine a world where traditional hierarchies and middlemen are replaced by transparent, self-executing code. That's what the DAO promised. It was like a venture capital fund run entirely by code. No human error, no biases, just pure logic and mathematics. Investors could vote on proposals and the smart contract would execute the decisions. It was a dream come true for tech enthusiasts and libertarians alike. The DAO raised an astonishing $150 million in Ether, the cryptocurrency of the Ethereum network. It was the largest crowdfunding project at the time and the excitement was palpable. People from all over the world were investing, believing they were part of something groundbreaking. The idea was simple yet revolutionary. A decentralized organization where decisions were made collectively by the token holders. It was democracy in action, powered by the blockchain, except it wasn't. The DAO's smart contract was supposed to be foolproof. Investors could vote on proposals, and the smart contract would execute the decisions. But as it turned out, the code was only as good as the people who wrote it, and in this case there was a tiny yet catastrophic flaw. A hacker found a vulnerability in the code and siphoned off $50 million worth of Ether. That's cryptocurrency for you newbies. The worst part? Because smart contracts are, well, smart, there was no way to reverse the transaction. The community was in shock. The very technology that was supposed to eliminate human error had been exploited by a human. It was like watching a bank robbery in slow motion and not being able to do a damn thing about it. The hacker didn't just steal money, they stole trust. Trust in the system, trust in the code, and trust in the idea that decentralization could be the future. The aftermath was chaotic. The Ethereum community was divided on how to respond. Some argued for a hard fork to reverse the hack, essentially creating a new version of the blockchain where the hack never happened. Others believed this would undermine the very principles of immutability and decentralization that Ethereum stood for. After much debate, a hard fork was implemented, leading to the creation of Ethereum, ETH, and Ethereum Classic, ETC. The incident was a wake-up call for the entire blockchain community. It highlighted the importance of rigorous code audits and the need for better security measures. The DAO hack was a pivotal moment in the history of blockchain technology. It showed that while the technology has immense potential, it is not infallible. It also underscored the importance of community governance and the challenges that come with it. Today, the lessons learned from the DAO hack continue to influence the development of decentralized applications and smart contracts. It serves as a reminder that even in a world run by code, human oversight is crucial. So, the next time you hear about the wonders of blockchain and decentralized systems, remember the curious case of the DAO and the $50 million whoopsie. It's a story of innovation, ambition, and a hard-earned lesson in the importance of security and trust. But wait, it gets worse. When smart contracts attack, remember that bug in the code thing I mentioned earlier? Turns out it's not just hypothetical. There are these things called re-entrancy attacks, which are basically like digital pickpocketing. A hacker can trick a smart contract into paying out funds multiple times before it realizes what's happening. It's like going to an ATM, withdrawing $20, and then somehow convincing the machine to keep spitting out 20s until it's empty. Except, in this case, the ATM is controlled by an emotionless algorithm that doesn't care if you're stealing someone's life savings. Who controls the robots? Spoiler alert, it's not you. All of this raises a bigger question: who gets to write the code that governs our lives? Right now, it's mostly a bunch of tech bros with more hoodies than empathy. And let's be honest, they haven't exactly covered themselves in glory when it comes to ethics. We're talking about putting the power to enforce agreements in the hands of people who think a fail-fast mentality is an acceptable excuse for screwing over millions of people. What could possibly go wrong? The future of law: more robots, less humanity? Look, I'm not saying smart contracts are all bad. In fact, they have the potential to revolutionize the way we handle legal agreements. Imagine a world where contracts are executed flawlessly, without the need for endless paperwork and human error. It's a vision of efficiency and precision that could save time and resources. They have the potential to make things more efficient and transparent. Businesses could operate with a level of trust and accountability that we've never seen before. Transactions could be completed in seconds, and the risk of fraud could be significantly reduced. It's a promising future, but it's not without its challenges. But we need to be careful. We're talking about replacing human judgment with lines of code. While algorithms can process information at lightning speed, they lack the empathy and understanding that human beings bring to the table. This is especially critical in areas where decisions can have profound impacts on people's lives. And that's a recipe for disaster if we're not careful. Imagine a world where your mortgage payments are automatically deducted from your bank account, even if you lose your job. The system doesn't care about your personal circumstances, it just follows the rules it's been programmed to follow. This could lead to financial ruin for many people who find themselves in unexpected situations. Even if you lose your job, the lack of flexibility in automated systems can be unforgiving. Imagine receiving a layoff notice and knowing that your financial obligations will continue to be met without any consideration for your new reality. It's a cold, impersonal way to handle such sensitive matters. Or where your access to healthcare is determined by an algorithm that doesn't understand the nuances of your medical history. Algorithms can analyze data and make recommendations, but they can't replace the nuanced understanding that a human doctor brings. Your health is too important to be left entirely in the hands of machines. That's the future we're sleepwalking into if we don't start asking some tough questions. We need to consider the ethical implications of relying too heavily on technology. What happens to the human touch, the empathy, and the understanding that are so crucial in many aspects of our lives? It's time to have a serious conversation about the role of technology in our future, and ensure that we strike the right balance between innovation and humanity. Time to hit the brakes on the robot revolution, or at least pump the brakes a little. The rapid advancement of robotics and artificial intelligence has been nothing short of astonishing. From self-driving cars to automated factories, the future we once only dreamed of is now becoming a reality. But with great power comes great responsibility, and it's high time we take a step back and evaluate the implications of this technological surge. So, what's the solution? Well, for starters, we need to stop treating smart contracts like the second coming of sliced bread. These digital agreements, powered by blockchain technology, have been hailed as revolutionary, promising to eliminate the need for intermediaries and reduce fraud. However, they are not without their flaws. Over-reliance on smart contracts can lead to unforeseen consequences, especially when the code is not thoroughly vetted or when it is used inappropriately. They're a tool, and like any tool, they can be used for good or evil. Just as a wrench can be used to build or to destroy, smart contracts can be employed to create fair and transparent systems, or to perpetrate fraud and manipulation. The key lies in how we choose to use them, and the safeguards we put in place to ensure they are used ethically and responsibly. We need to have a serious conversation about the ethical implications of using code as law. This means bringing together technologists, ethicists, policymakers, and the general public to discuss and debate the potential impacts of these technologies. It's not enough to simply marvel at the capabilities of smart contracts and AI. We must also consider the broader societal consequences and ensure that we are not inadvertently creating new forms of inequality or injustice. We need to make sure that smart contracts are designed with safeguards in place to prevent abuse. This includes implementing robust security measures to protect against hacking and fraud, as well as creating mechanisms for dispute resolution and accountability. Without these safeguards, we risk creating a digital Wild West, where the strongest and most unscrupulous actors can exploit the system to their advantage, and we need to make sure that the people writing the code are accountable for their actions. This means establishing clear standards and guidelines for coding practices, as well as creating oversight bodies to monitor and enforce these standards. It also means fostering a culture of responsibility and ethics within the tech community, where developers are encouraged to consider the broader implications of their work and to prioritize the public good over personal gain. Otherwise, we're just setting ourselves up for a world where the robots are in charge and we're all just along for the ride. Imagine a future where decisions that affect our daily lives are made not by humans but by algorithms and machines. While this might sound like science fiction, it's a very real possibility if we don't take steps now to ensure that our technological advancements are guided by ethical principles and human oversight. And trust me, that's a ride you don't want to take. The thrill of innovation can quickly turn into a nightmare if we lose control of the technologies we create. It's up to us to steer the course of the robot revolution in a direction that benefits all of humanity, rather than allowing it to spiral out of control. That's our show, everybody. Good night. Remember, the future is in our hands and it's up to us to shape it wisely.